Welcome back to CryptosRUs. I am George, or all George. So happy Friday. Happy Friday. Today is looking pretty darn good. US market's about to open in a few minutes in green. Bitcoin is up to 21,000 and many altcoins are rallying right now. So that's why I titled today, Don't Miss the Bitcoin Rebound. There's so many indicators and metrics that show that Bitcoin is definitely rebounding and could be seeing some much needed gains soon. So let's discuss all these things and a little update about Celsius as well. So smash up the like, subscribe to the channel, make sure you hit that notification bell, get notified of all my streams, no matter where I am, even in the pool. So make sure you hit that notification bell, follow me on social media, check out CryptosRUs.com, and follow the brand new Clips channel. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Good morning, everyone. Obviously, I am still off site. We'll be here for quite some time, but I still want to stream with you guys. There's a lot to talk about this morning, especially. Things are starting to look better. You know, with all the doom and gloom, with all the news about horrible, horrible, horrible inflation, about governments and currencies debasing. I mean, there's just a lot of stuff, horrible stuff going on, right? But despite all that, that's why I've been telling you guys, despite all that, Bitcoin is remaining strong. And it seems like Bitcoin is getting stronger. Yes, it's still fluctuating, but starting to form the higher lows, and it's going up in the right direction, right? There are so many that are turning to Bitcoin right now, and that is so positive. But if you look at today, U.S. markets, we got a couple minutes. Even though I'm not even in the U.S. right now, but I'm still concentrating on U.S. markets. You know, 2 minutes away from market open, Dow looks like it's going to have a positive day. Yesterday, Dow was in the red, right? And most things were in the red, but still, Bitcoin climbed. And right now, S&P and Nasdaq also look like they're going to flip into the green. So that's pretty positive. Pretty positive. By the way, my I have to rely on my phone for the chat, so bear with me here. No way I'm wearing pants. No, I uh you don't want me to be standing up right now. You're the man. Thank you. Hot Tub Time Machine. I download a Trust Wallet. Congratulations. All right. So we have that going on. Looking at Bitcoin, we're right pressed against 21,000. I do think that we need to see Bitcoin above. The recent high was about 22,400. If we continue to have a good day today, we could definitely go back up there. But what I really want to see is over here. Bitcoin about 23,000. If we can surpass 23,000, let's say this weekend, then we could definitely see 28, 29, 30 right afterwards. We'll get a good bounce. We'll get a really good bounce. But we need to break that 30,000 mark. But could be coming. Could be right around the corner, right? But I've been talking about higher lows. You could definitely see higher lows, and we're definitely moving in the right direction. All right, so before I get more into Bitcoin today, in terms of U.S. market news, not a whole lot. There's a lot of bank earnings, right? J.P. Morgan, Morgan Stanley came out, had horrible earnings. Jamie Dimon tried to make excuses why it's horrible, and right here headlines, right, making it sound like really really bad, but we'll see. Today, you got some other major banks like Citibank and Wells Fargo reporting. Maybe they'll see the same thing. Not that anyone's shedding a tear for any of these bankers. They keep getting bailed out no matter what. It seems like these big banks are too big to fail. Governments keep throwing money at them no matter what, giving them all the opportunities to make an enormous amount of money. So if they if they do bad, I don't think anyone really is shedding any tears over them, especially not Jamie Dimon. But what's interesting is BlackRock also posts 30% fall in their quarterly profit. A lot of talk about BlackRock just buying out all the real estate around the country, and BlackRock has their hands in everything. Seems like everything. And they're reporting a 30% drop. Whether or not that that really matters, I guess. I don't know. I don't know. But you combine all this, obviously, with everything else I've been telling you guys about, everything else we've been hearing. Yeah, the economy is just not so good right now, right? Everything has taken a hit, which is why, the S&P performance for the first half of this year is the worst since the 1800s. So think about that. It's quite amazing to think about. All right, let's go on. There's not a whole lot of U.S. market news. The market bell rang, although I don't have my normal bell, so I can't ring. Sorry, can't ring it, but market's open. Um, so some three arrows news. Not that this is any good, but somehow, we know that Three Arrows being liquidated right now. They filed bankruptcy everywhere, but they want to ask Singapore ports to recognize the company's British Virgin Island liquidation order against it in order to preserve the company's assets because right now the founders are worried that their assets are going to be frozen, especially Zhu Su, who is trying to sell $40 million mansion. And he has many other properties in his name and his wife's name. And he's afraid all that is going to be confiscated and seized. So somehow, if you recognize this other, like if Singapore courts recognize this other liquidation against it, then somehow they won't be seized. I don't quite understand the details of this. But what I do understand is Zusu and his counterparts, everyone is panicking over what little assets they have left. Considering Three Arrows Capital had over 10 billion under management at one point in time, where did it all go? No one knows. Don't know how they could lose $10 billion, right? And throughout these proceedings, if they figure out that, yeah, that the founders themselves did some shady stuff to cause this to happen, well, then sure enough, all their stuff will be confiscated and they possibly will be facing some jail time. So that's the latest with Three Arrow. Now, as for Celsius, well, it turns out that previous report that they had a 2 billion hole was accurate. Sam Bankman-Fried, FTX, wanted to buy Celsius but saw a 2 billion hole and said that's too much. I don't want to pay that much, and he left. Well, recently we know Celsius has been paying down a lot of their debts and getting a lot of collateral back. But with all that collected, Celsius still has $1.2 billion unaccounted for, and it is gone. And that includes 600 million in Cell tokens. We know that Celsius has been, the tokens itself has been pumped, and people are excited about a short squeeze of the Cell token. No, it's just whale manipulation. And they counted that towards their assets because if Celsius tokens was actually lower, the $1.2 billion hole would actually be much bigger. So that some of that hole is being plugged with the Celsius token right now, which really equates to something that's much lower. But anyways, according to the company, in hindsight, proved to make poor asset deployment decisions. Some of these decisions took time to unwind and left the company with disproportionate liability when measured against the unprecedented market decline. So basically, they effed up and they did not have good risk assessment or risk tolerance, right? So that's the unfortunate thing, and I don't think they will be getting that 1.2 billion hole filled by any chance. So that's the latest. I don't know what's going to happen. One good thing I've heard people talk about how this is chapter 11, not chapter 7. And again, I'm not a lawyer, but it seems like chapter 7 there is a chance of reclaiming some assets if there's anything left over. And this is the same with Voyager, and supposedly both Voyager and Celsius are using the same lawyers for bankruptcy. So there could be a chance that there's something that could be recovered. Not quite sure what that something actually is. Alex, good morning, guys. George, don't do videos in the pool, please. Why? I like those videos. Those are good. Those are good videos. Although the one yesterday didn't do so well, but I thought I said even more things in yesterday's video. All right, let's get to Bitcoin. What's going on in Bitcoin? Well, there's a Bitcoin analyst predicts a big short squeeze incoming. I don't doubt this. I don't doubt this at all. Bitcoin has been so oversold. You look at the weekly chart, you look at the monthly chart. RSI is below 30, waiting, itching to flip back up, right? Obviously, because of all the headwinds, Bitcoin has not been able to break through in any big or significant manner. But once we do get that short squeeze, it will be huge. It will be magnificent. And it'll be one of the biggest ones we probably have ever seen, right? Because of how much we have fallen from top and how quickly we have fallen from top, right? So, yeah, I don't doubt this. And if you look at all the supporting metrics, there's a lot that shows that this is imminent. This bounce, right, is imminent. And the third largest whale, who somehow has infinite money and keeps stacking sats and keeps DCAing. One of the reasons why we all need to do it, because these large whales continue to buy more and more and more and taking it out of circulation. The exchange reserves of Bitcoin keeps dropping at a historical rate. So you look at this third largest whale. I mean, since June 9th, where he did sell 500 Bitcoin, but since then, 400, 400, 200, 300, 300, 500, 230, 300, 800, 600, 180, 130, 421, 500. I mean, this is a lot. This is a lot of Bitcoin, all right around this 19, 20, 21 mark, right? So, yeah, it's not just me that thinks that Bitcoin is about to rebound. This whale, who already has close to $3 billion worth of Bitcoin, 132,000. He has more than Michael Saylor, so think about it. And he is still stacking sats constantly, pretty much every few days, right? So, yeah, a lot. A lot of stacking, right? A lot of DCA. And of course, there's other metrics. Here's one. I don't actually know what kind of wave this is. Looks like it's something, it's utilizing 200 weekly moving average. I'm thinking something around there, but don't know what kind of wave this is. But it does show that we have found that support like previous times, and we are getting ready for that bounce, right? Even Plan B has been very careful in terms of calling any kind of bounces. Plan B seems to have shifted away, and not everyone is so thrilled about Plan B anymore. Especially recently, he started acting like a trader. Like he said he was going to post some kind of quantitative report, and then he put his Bybit link right afterwards, telling everyone to go sign up to his Bybit link so they could trade based on his quantitative report. But Plan B all along has been a long-term investor, focusing on stock to flow and charts like this, which are long-term indicators, bigger macro indicators. But he's trying to become more of a trader recently. I don't know. I did not like that move. But anyways, this is still a really nice graphical chart of the moving average and when Bitcoin is oversold, right? And you can see the blue periods is when it usually finds a bottom and has a nice rebound, right? That's what we're seeing right now with Bitcoin. So um, there is that. This is an interesting one from Alex Kruger, which talks about how out of the previous three out of the four instances going back to the 70s and 80s when inflation peaked, that's when that's when equities markets started rising up. Okay, so did we get a peak with inflation? We went up to 9.1%. Is that peak? Could we be coming down when CPI number comes out next month? Possibly, because June was horrible with energy. Energy has fallen, so maybe CPI will come down. Maybe the 9.1% is peak. And if so, that's when historically you want to be getting in. That would be like a bottom indicator, right? So again, interesting analysis there. Now, as for just measuring some fundamentals of Bitcoin, well, look at this. The Bitcoin amount of supply last active between 5 to 7 years, which means Bitcoin that hasn't been touched in at least 5 years, right? It's at an 18-month high, 795,000. Okay, that's quite a lot. And this will continue to rise up. There's more and more people getting in. So in another 5 years, when we measure this, it'll probably be double, triple, or quadruple this number, right? But if you look at supply last active since 1 year, man, it's at an all-time high right now, right? And there's other good things. Here's inflow. Usually I talk about outflow. But if you look at the inflow volume of BTC, right, is at a pretty low level. You do see that there's some large panic selling from some of the people, but right now it's not one of those times. Right now, there's definitely a lot more buying than selling. Okay, there's a lot more people that's DCing, stacking sats, getting ready for our next bounce, which could be historic. All right, so those are positive Bitcoin stuff that's going on. Lastly, a few things about altcoins. So, Ethereum. Ethereum's merge seems like it has been pushed back to September. Last time I heard them talk about dates, it was in August because they said it was going to be pushed back towards like the end of Q2. Looks like it's been pushed back to the start of Q3. So yesterday there was a conference call that proposed September 19th as the date for the merger. And no one disagreed, so it seems like, okay, that's going to be the new date, September 19th. So we got to wait a couple more months before the merge happens, and then we'll see proof of stake come to Ethereum, and we'll probably see a lot more stuff happen afterwards. So this is one of the reasons why I think Ethereum has continued to hold and is starting to rise back up because a lot of people are looking forward to this. Now, as for DeFi, some of you guys may have noticed that DeFi projects like Uniswap, Compound, Aave, they all been coming up in a big way recently too. They all been spiking. I think this is not really a surprise because of all the CeFi issues that we're seeing, and people are placing their bets more on DeFi, right? So that's not a surprise, and I do think going forward, there will be a lot more people concentrating DeFi, especially if they safeguard your own crypto. Like if you've been, taking your crypto out of the centralized exchanges to safeguard yourself, and now you have it on a ledger or a trust wallet or something like that, well, then you're more likely to do your transactions or buy or sell or trade using DeFi rather than CeFi, right? It makes sense. So yeah, that actually does make a lot of sense. But yesterday, Uniswap was added to Robinhood. Interesting enough, I guess, Robinhood pump is real, more real than Coinbase pumps these days. So I guess that's a pretty good thing, although it's a decentralized DEX or a decentralized DEX token on a centralized exchange. And lastly, Circle. Circle disclosed a full breakdown of their nearly 56 billion of USDC reserves, right? 75.6% was held in U.S. Treasuries and 24.4% were held in cash at regular financial institutions. So 25% in cash, the rest in U.S. Treasuries, which should be as good as cash. It would be better if the U.S. Treasuries were just cash, but I'm guessing because U.S. Treasuries, they earn a yield from that, right? They receive that 1 to 2, 3% from the U.S. government. Maybe that's why they're doing it, but basically fully backed, fully backed. All right, that is pretty much it. Let's look at the overall market, U.S. markets. Yeah, still pretty good, pretty green overall. Retail sales rose more than expected in June. That's actually pretty surprising. A lot of people started buying more in June. And Elon says Tesla could lower car prices if inflation comes down. Yeah, I doubt that. I doubt that. Tesla prices have just been going up and up and up and up. Now to get a Model Y, you're talking about 60 to $70,000. Before when I bought my Model Y previously, it was still in the 50s. Now it's in the mid 60s. I mean, it's big price jump. All right, anyways, enough about that. All right, let's do some Q&A. We need to flush out. Gas fee says we need to flush out a lot of leverage. A flash crash to 12,000, spike up to 18,000. Yeah, I don't want to see that. I don't want to see that. Um, that could trigger a lot more devastation from a lot of the other crypto companies, which can spur a cascading, like, circular ball of doom. Let's just put it that way. Matic all the way. I did cover Matic last night and over the last few days. Matic has been doing very well, coming up quite a lot within the last month. Um, that's because that Disney incubator news is huge. A lot of Terra developers went to it. They still have a ton of NFT marketplaces coming aboard. I mean, Polygon has a lot of things going on. A lot of things going on. All right, let's see here. What else have I missed? Do you know anything about the 3 billion of BTC government's releasing next month? Not sure. It's a rumor, probably, and they're not going to release it. The government is not going to release $3 billion worth of Bitcoin just out in the air for anyone to take. If so, I would grab all 3 billion. They would most likely be selling it through auction. In the last auction that they had, Tim Draper bought up all of it, and I think he paid like 30 million, and that 30 million is now worth 500 million. So yeah, it was a pretty good buy. So, and I have not heard about that. I have not heard they go auction off what they seized from what was it? It said BitMEX? Yeah, the BitMEX thing. Or the BitMEX or Bitfinex, I forgot which exchange. But even then, they're not giving it away, that's for sure. What happens if our bag of alts what happens to our bag of alts if FCC decides to put all of them, label them as security? Nothing happens. Nothing happens at all. They'll sue them one after another. They may put pressure on central exchanges to delist them, but yeah, nothing happens specifically like as soon as they call it. It's just like, okay, they declared it. But there will be long drawn out lawsuits. I'm sure the projects will fight it, right? And we'll see what happens with Ripple. I think Ripple is looking more like they're going to win this case. And if they win this case and they share their playbook in terms of how they defeat the SEC, I think a lot of other projects will use that playbook and survive too. Stimul intellect. Thank you, man. Thank you. Did I get sunburn? No, not really. I got darker, but not sunburn. Um, Nervos Layer 2, Godwoken. That was already, I mean, that was hyped up for months now. A Zevium compatible chain, right? That can track dApp makers aboard. I don't know if that actually will attract tab makers to Nervos, but it's good to see that they're still expanding, right? I don't like that name, God Woken. That's just it sounds cool, but for obvious reasons, I think you guys could tell why I don't like it. Um, let's see, Andrew, I appreciate it. EA Sports. Can you look into cult.dao? Um, I'll just tell you this. I'm not a fan of DAOs, at least not for investment purpose. And the symbol being a cult is just horrible. And this doesn't look so good. Way too many decimal points. And the symbol, yeah, I'm just not gonna look at that. I'm down 300% shorting. Should I stop? I don't know if you're joking or real, Tony. Have you been shorting and been liquidated many, many times? Is that what you're talking about? Or you're just kind of being a troll? I don't know. But playing with leverage wrecks everyone. Even some of these big players that have fallen, you could argue that they play with leverage. They over committed. They loaned out too much. They were playing too much with what they didn't have, and it has gotten them to where they are now, which is bankrupt. So that's what leverage does. It allows people to play with more than what they could afford to lose. And generally speaking, they lose. They lose it all. So, not a fan of it. Not a fan of it at all. The Mad Monk, you are here. Welcome. 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 Do you think this rebound is whale games? No. I do think like the Celsius short squeeze is whale games. Voyager's pump was whale games. It's pretty obvious. All these bankrupt companies, um, having their tokens pump, it's due to whale games. But what's going on Bitcoin is, I think it's just slow and steady buying and DCAing. That's it. I know a lot of you guys have been DCing. I have too. But not only that, there's new people coming into this space. Just look at what's going on around the world. Look at the inflation numbers, right? If you think that even the US at 9.1 is bad or UK's 9% is bad, look at some of these other development countries where their inflation is 20, 30, 50, 100, 1000%. I mean, there's a lot of people that's turning to Bitcoin right now. And what better time when Bitcoin is around 20,000? Thoughts on A0? I don't know what A0 is. Alpha Zero? Volume is kind of low. Market cap is low. The self-reported circuit supply unknown. This is a game? No, it's a privacy play. It's a privacy using ZK proofs. Okay. Relatively new privacy coin. For me, I don't like to buy privacy coins. I don't like to buy Monero, Zcash, Dash, anything that has private features because governments don't like it. They go force the exchanges to delist them, right? But if you plan on using them, well, that's a different story. But if you plan on buying them as investment, it's not for me. Much rather buy all ones. Jerry, thank you. Gatsby, I'm not going to repeat what you said, but that's quite hilarious. Um, Inflation in Switzerland is only 3.4%. We are blessed. I mean, that is pretty darn good. I didn't know that is yes, Switzerland's not using the euro, right? It's using the Swiss francs. So that's smart government, I guess. Um, should the United States keep seized BTC to have a hoard like gold bars? They should, but I don't know. It's different because the seized Bitcoin is in the Justice Department. So I don't know if they have some rule where they have to sell seized assets or something. I don't know. I don't know how they work, but the Fed, or not the Fed, the Treasury Department, I don't know. They should be buying Bitcoin, right? They should be buying. I think all countries eventually will stop buying gold and just start buying Bitcoin. It might take a while. It might be a long, long time, but it just makes sense. All of them started hoarding gold, and now we find out that gold has just basically had its value cut in half because 12 trillion dollars worth of gold was just found in Uganda. And that's not a fake story. That's actually a real legit story that they're starting to mine now. So the world's gold supply just doubled overnight. And we could find more gold supply in the future. Um, so, I mean, gold is obviously not scarce. We can always find more, and there's gold floating around in space and stuff. You're not gonna find Bitcoin floating around in space. You're not gonna find Bitcoin by digging more on planet Earth. It's set. Supply is deemed by code, right? So, yeah. All right, guys. Pelosi's husband is the mysterious whale. Oh, you guys are hilarious. How can you be sure this isn't a bull trap? Because we're okay, even if it is, Benny boy, you don't know where bottom is, right? And the strategy doesn't change. You know that Bitcoin will fluctuate, they could go up and down, but what's the long term trend? Upwards. And we are much closer to bottom than we are to top, right? And you look at everything else that's going on in terms of the metrics, the growing adoption still, everything, all the technicals, you're making, you're speculating, right? You're guessing or educated guesses on where bottom is, and we're either there or very close to it. But the strategy is the same. You DCA. You DCA. You don't go all in. And your wording is like, okay, let's just go all in now because we are absolutely bottom. No one can tell you that. No one can tell you that certainty 100%. And if you're using that strategy, that's how you go burn yourself and get mad when you make a mistake. Don't do it. Just sprout your buys and DCA. Do you think BTC will hold steady during the next week earnings? The week after Fed meeting, Mt. Gox release. Mt. Gox already covered it. It's going to be slow and steady, and who knows if people are even going to be selling if they get it back. It's not especially now because we are low. And a lot of people are claiming cash too. So I think the Mt. Gox is not going to be nearly as devastating as some people are speculating. And as for other earnings, you know what? I don't think we've gotten the worst reports already. There's no earnings that's going to come out that's going to be worse than inflation data that we just received. That was the biggest nail. And I don't think we're going to get any reports that's going to be worse than that. So we'll see. I mean, the other thing is we do have rate hikes coming up, right? July 26th or 28th. So we're going to get either 75 basis points, 50, 75, and now there's talks about 100, but I don't think they're going to be that. I don't think they're going to be that crazy and go to 100. I think it's going to be 75 still. And that's already priced in. So, all right, guys, I'll let you go. I'll get some breakfast. Right now, Bitcoin is looking good around 21,000, but I would like to see it go above 23,000 this weekend. We haven't been able to do that since the beginning, or actually mid-June, right? If we could break through 23,000, I think that would be very, very positive. Very positive, and 28,000 may be right around the corner. But overall, Bitcoin is strong. Still, great things about Bitcoin, and more people are learning about it and turning to Bitcoin as they hear about the devastation that the governments have created for themselves, right? So smash the like, subscribe to the channel. And since today is Friday, I don't know. I'm probably not going to be streaming tonight. Probably not going to be doing a video by a pool. Whatever. Maybe I will. Maybe I won't. I don't know. But hit that notification bell. and then you get notified. All right. Have a good one, guys. Take care. Bye bye.